Hey guys, welcome to Wednesday. We are in Studio 22 in the mothership. All the usual suspects are what we're going to talk about again today. But here's one I want to kick off with that we're going to hell. The world's going to hell. I'm telling you, dude. The stuff that we're putting up with at this stage in the game, Brandon and George. New York becomes a sanctuary state for transgender children. Not going to arrest anybody who performs child sex change surgeries. So just whatever, just throw it right in the face. New York Governor Kathy Hochul, she signed legislation into law, made it a state sanctuary, a sanctuary for those who have illegally given children sex change drugs, hormones, or surgeries. Screw the law. Screw humanity. Screw biology. Did you see the deal where that guy got fired? I posted it on my Instagram yesterday. If you're not following me, you need to go over there and follow me at WatchChad. Twitter as well. Biology professor was fired for teaching that sex is determined by chromosomes. That's a New York Post article. Biology professor. He was fired for teaching that sex is determined by chromosomes. I don't know what else could be determined by. I mean, boys have a penis and girls have a vagina. Why do you think that is? What caused that? I don't know. Anyway, Kathy Hochul, she's going to burn in hell. There's no saving that bitch.
Honestly, though, like, how do you teach science, like biology specifically, if you can't teach the basics?
You can't. That's the funny thing about it. You can't apply ideologies to science. You can't do it. If my ideology is that I'm an angel, I'm an incarnation of Michael the Archangel. I can fly. I could transcend realms. I could go between the physical and the spiritual world. And I stand on top of a 10-story building and jump off. Gravity doesn't care what I believe.
Yeah.
Doesn't care what I believe. Because the science is going to win. Period. See, we've made an ideology out of science for these last number of years. And people have suffered because of it. People have died. So now what you have, and let me tie this thing in, because, Brandon, you pull this article, and it's wow, dude, this is a scary one right here. The UN, United Nations, I don't recall ever voting for the UN. I never elected any of those people. Never wanted anybody to be appointed to it. Wasn't given a list. I wasn't given a ballot for the UN, the United Nations, to be any form of a determinator of how I live my life. But the UN plans to roll out an AI-powered tool that's going to help nations stamp down so-called misinformation, disinformation, and hate speech. Well, we're screwed. The United Nations is convinced that, quote, online information pollution is an urgent global challenge. Information pollution. I think they call that ideas. That's a very fancy way to say people have opinions and you gave them a platform on which to voice them. That's called social media. And it's information pollution. God, we got to make a t-shirt, dude. And it says it can be remedied by an artificial intelligence and, I might add, a left-leaning cleanup crew. So to stamp out the dissenting views and hurtful opinions expressed online, especially those articulated in the form of memes. The UN Development Program has produced an AI-powered speech policing tool called Verify. I Verify. You stick an I in front of anything, it sounds cool. I Verify can be used to identify false information and prevent and mitigate its spread. In concert with the Facebook and Google-funded fact-checker Medan, Facebook-owned CrowdTangle, and leftist nonprofits and George Soros-funded international fact-checking network. So there you go. So they said that January 6th, they cited January 6th as one of the most visible examples of how the viral spread of misinformation can negatively affect the electoral process. And they said, I verify can help. So, hey, that's good, right? I mean, I'm going to say that Joe Biden got 81 million votes. I'm going to say that he got more black votes than Barack Obama. And if I say other than that, if I question that at all, I verify is going to come get me. I verify is going to fact check me. They're going to monitor me, and I will be a threat to information integrity. I can't question that. You can't question that. So back to the original point. If I go back and talking about science and I say, hey, over the last 3 years, we've been fed some faulty science that was built on ideology, politicization, and a narrative-driven idea that certain things needed to be pushed. Who was funding it? Big pharma and big government. They were pushing it. It was medical tyranny, and they wanted you to obey at all costs. I mean, they offered you everything from free hamburgers and French fries to threatened your job, took your job away if you didn't follow their narrative of science. And that narrative of science, by the way, let's go back and remind everybody what it was, is that there was one medical procedure that was universal for all human beings across the globe. It wouldn't affect anybody negatively. Everybody was supposed to have the exact same stuff put inside of them. And that was, what was the phrase? What was it? Trust the science. You question that, well, you're pushing misinformation and disinformation, all that stuff. So I'm just saying that we see that the science, the real science, the stuff that you can put together in a scientific method, start with a hypothesis and work through to a proof, that stuff, it's always going to win. It's like jumping off the building. I don't care what you believe about it. There may be some people that jump further than me when we go off that building. Like I would think that, the great Carl Lewis, the great track and field star Carl Lewis, Usain Bolt could probably jump further than me and last a little longer in midair, but gravity will win. Gravity will win. I don't know any other way to say that. So, I mean, I hate that you have to break this stuff down into that elementary level of asinine logic to say these things. But we're in trouble, man. And that technology that's coming out, the AI stuff, it's going to flag your content either manually or automatically. So manually means somebody's going to report you. Then it's going to be reviewed by an open source algorithm which uses machine learning to establish whether it's fact checkable and or constitutes hate speech. So like, for instance, if I say, what was that story that came out by Breitbart, which is the bullshit story about, what's his name, Pedro Gonzalez?
Pedro Gonzalez, yeah.
All right, so I don't know who Pedro Gonzalez is. I know that we had talked to him a little bit. He's kind of a conservative guy. He's on the DeSantis deal.
Yeah.
They said, he claims that he's being attacked by the Trump campaign. And Breitbart comes out with an article and says, well, he is guilty of racist and anti-Semitic remarks via text message, which means Breitbart, who I normally appreciate their reporting, and I certainly appreciate the legacy of Andrew Breitbart, but they spent hours combing through this guy's private text messages. That's bullshit. To do what? To expose his weird ideas, what he said things that you didn't approve of. He said racist things. And I also love the way they say that somebody is racist and anti-Semitic. Like, I don't know when Jewish people got a special racist term.
Yeah.
Like, if it's racist, it's racist.
Yeah.
That's the way I see it. So now that it's going to be, okay, well, it's racist towards black and brown people, but if it's Jewish people, it's anti-Semitic. So they got a special racist term. So if I say all of these things and the UN gets a hold of it, now I'm just discussing ideas here.
Yeah.
I'm just discussing ideas. I'm not defending anybody, nothing. But the fact that I'm now saying these words like racist, anti-Semitic, Pedro Gonzalez, Breitbart, text messages, bullshit, I say all these things. The UN can now step in and say, no, that constitutes hate speech.
Yeah. Do you know, I don't know if it was quite a Bud Light moment for Breitbart, but the reaction to it was
not good.
It was actually more interesting than the article.
Right.
Because, this is the side calling out that exact language, and then you're going to use it for literally no purpose. There was no point to that article. It was just
none.
to
I mean, there's stuff
someone.
going on in the world, and you got some kid, I don't even know how old he is.
He's younger. He's a millennial.
He's a young guy.
Yeah.
But you got some guy's text messages that you're combing through to see if he's racist. God, I hope they don't ever comb through any of our text messages because they'll find some stuff.
Yeah, this is why I said earlier, this is why I do mine out in the open. I don't have any text to leak.
I've always said, listen, I say my dumb shit right out loud.
Yeah, that's the only way to save yourself. But I'll be fascinated to see how this plays out because I think Pedro's going to be fine because that was horse shit.
Yeah, but that's the deal, man. If you say dumb shit, you're in trouble. So we're all in trouble because you've all said dumb shit. That's a soundbite right there.
Yeah, and you know who's not in trouble yet? People who leak those text messages.
Well, that's the point right there.
Yep.
You go, I mean, just like, okay, so who leaked the Trump tapes, right? The recording of Trump talking about classified documents. Who leaked that to CNN? Well, it's got to be somebody inside either Trump's camp or the FBI or somebody like that. So, again, we can't speculate. We can't question any of these things because everybody says dumb shit. Everybody does dumb shit. But now the United Nations is going to take care of all of that because we have information pollution.
They do also act like bad ideas never managed to spread before the internet.
Yeah.
Like the Nazis in Germany were pretty effective without being able to get retweets.
Reasonably good propagandists.
Yeah, the communists, they were pretty good in Russia too.
Yeah, we want to make sure that doesn't ever happen again.
I'm pretty sure the American Revolution was started by flyers and pamphlets.
Yeah, I mean, and it's weird how those Marines popped up after meeting in a pub.
Yeah.
Yeah. And people just somehow found a way to communicate with each other. I don't care if they tied a note to a pigeon's leg. They did it. I mean, that was some medieval retweeting right there.
Yeah.
And the bird tweeted. So
yeah. I also wonder at what point the AI is just going to be like, you know what? The internet was a bad idea. Let's get rid of it.
Just shut it down.
Yeah.
No, don't worry. Skynet will become self-aware. And we're doomed. And we're going to have a bunch of Arnold Schwarzeneggers running around. But here's the key to this thing. 3 reviewers will sign off on quality control. The content is then presented with a cautionary rating based on the determinations of the reviewers. And guess what? Fact checks can later be updated. So basically, they're giving themselves an out if they screw it up. And so, so don't tell jokes. Don't use sarcasm. No hyperbole. And for God's sakes, don't use descriptive language. That's going to get you screwed. So, again, Kathy Hochul can deny and defy biology. A professor of biology can get fired for teaching that sex is determined by chromosomes. But the UN and jackasses like Breitbart's going to go out there and investigate your text messages or your tweets and your information pollution and make sure that they, your overseers, the ones with the boot on your neck, are going to make sure that you, yes, a computer, an AI, a machine, an Arnold Schwarzenegger, is going to determine if you're telling the truth. That's what we're coming to, guys. My God. Literally. It is horrible. All right. Hey, guys, you got to clean your guns. You got to do it. You got to do it. Some of you got some of those guns sitting around. You went to the range, a couple of weeks ago, and you didn't come home and clean your guns, and now you really need to clean those guns. I know it's a dirty job. You got to do it. I want to recommend a product that I've literally fallen in love with. I just these Barrel Buddy patches, or not patches, but these Barrel Buddy cleaners are just incredible. They're not patches. The patches are made out of cloth. You pull that through, and that thing's going to leave, little lint and fibers and stuff like that. You pull that boar snake through, it sometimes hides the dirt when it comes through because it's got a 2-color pattern on the rope. Barrel Buddy's a better solution. And if you got guns, I want every one of you to put in your bag, in your boxes, put it wherever you have your guns, put some Barrel Buddies in there because they compress to fill the interior of your gun's barrel. They clean the rifling grooves. They come in any size you need for any caliber firearm you may own. They're composed of the polymers that don't leave those particles behind, so it's safer. And they scrub and collect the particulates, and they absorb the remaining residue. And they even not only buff the interior of your gun barrel clean, but you can lubricate your firearm while you are cleaning. So it's an important step in being a responsible gun owner. You've heard me say it 100 times now, and I want you to hear it again. Barrel Buddy is the new concept you need to get a hold of. It's a better way of taking care of your firearms. That's an expensive investment. Take care of them the right way. So go get some Barrel Buddy. I promise you're going to love them. Go to barrelbuddy.com. That's barrelbuddy.com, and we'll be right back. We come back from break, and I expected our show to be fully canceled thanks to the UN. thanks to the UN. I honestly don't know how long I've lasted this long with the dumb stuff I say. But speaking of dumb stuff, let's play some clips for you. You've probably seen them already. You have if you've been following me on Twitter or Instagram at WatchChad. Hint, hint. Play clip number 1.
President Biden, how involved were you in your son's Chinese shakedown text message?
There's the laugh.
Were you involved?
No, I wasn't, and I don't.
Were you?
No.
There's the dementia. You always it's the surefire tell. You know when Joe's lying because the laugh comes out because he's got to patronize you. He's got to be condescending and he's got to laugh at you like, I can't believe you're asking this question. It's funny to me that you're asking this question. And then when they actually do their job and press the question, no. But that's the story of a loving father. According to what's that bitch's name? Sonny Hostin. Or no, Anna Navarro. Whatever the View, whatever. Just a gaggle of ducks. Yeah, but that's you can see the dementia come out. Well, I'll tell you, they have told the media to go after Joe now. So you're seeing it happen at this point. I said the other day? I said yesterday, I guess, I don't know. I said it's probably going to be a late September, probably be a red October type deal, be a October surprise, even though we're a year out from the election. That's what they're going to do. They're going to really run Joe down. And it's going to get to a point where basically Jill's going to come along and pull Joe and say, Joe and I have decided that we have fixed everything Trump messed up. We've done our job. It's time to pass the mantle on to the successor. And what we're going to do is we're going to go spend the rest of our life enjoying the grandchildren. They'll sign a very big book deal. And they won't worry about money ever again, which they won't anyway. But they'll sign a very big book deal. Here comes Simon & Schuster. And they'll let Kamala be president for a minute. She'll get to be the first female president just for a second. That'll keep her from running her mouth too much later on, because they'll throw her that bone. She'll go down in history as that. And then they will say, the guy who has supported us the most, who's been there, who has backed us up, encouraged us, who's visited us, the guy who has supported us verbally and everything, our friend Governor Gavin Newsom is our chosen successor. That's who they're going to want. Just watch. It's going to play out this way.
I hate it so much. I hate Gavin Newsom so much.
He's 10 times worse than Joe.
He's the worst person on the planet.
He's 10 times. He's worse than Kathy Hochul, and she's mutilating kids.
Yeah, he's so bad. I would consider voting.
I'm telling you, the scenario might be off by a few pieces, but I'm telling you that's what's coming. They will let Joe. The heat is going to come. They're going to keep pushing this thing. They're going to give him the opportunity to step down, and he'll ride off into the sunset. And the media will make it so that Joe Biden never existed. You'll forget Hunter Biden. You'll forget Joe. He will be the Bud Light of presidents. And just boom, there it is. It's just a marketing campaign that disappeared, just vanished. But they will tap. I believe they'll tap Governor Gavin Newsom to be the guy, because again, he's even been in the commercials saying he supports Joe Biden. That's all part of the plan. Is because you say, well, if he's going to run for president, why would he been showing up in the campaign commercials for Joe? Exactly, because he's their buddy. He is their guy, and they're going to paint him as some kind of savior who's been supportive of Joe. And the logical conclusion, if you like Joe as president, the logical conclusion, Gavin Newsom, and to keep Cackle Harris from backstabbing everybody. They'll throw her a bone, and she'll get to be president for about 6 months or so. And maybe a year. We'll see. But hands down, not longer than that, because Kamala is literally the least liked vice president in the history of the United States. I mean, just damaged goods. I mean, if you open up that carton of eggs, six of them are broken. But don't worry. Joe has this to say about Vladimir Putin and what's happening with his war. Play clip number 2.
It's hard to tell, but he's clearly losing the war in Iraq. He's losing the war at home. And he has become a bit of a pariah around the world. And it's not just NATO. It's not just the European Union. It's Japan. It's 40 nations.
Nobody stopped him and said, Iraq? We didn't know Putin was fighting in Iraq. He's losing the war in Iraq. He's obviously losing the war at home. Joe. Bro, you slipping. You slipping, bro. Done slip. The cheese is off the cracker. But CBS News has this to say about again, Joe's a loving father. But let's see what CBS News had to say about Hunter. Play clip number 3.
If this was any other person, they likely would have already served their sentence.
Gary Shapley was a lead IRS supervisory agent in Operation Sportsman, the investigation into Hunter Biden. Shapley said he uncovered conduct that warranted more serious charges.
There were personal expenses that were taken as business expenses. Prostitutes,
what?
Sex club memberships,
what?
Hotel rooms for purported drug dealers.
What?
How much did Hunter Biden owe in taxes?
So from 2014 to 2019, it was $2.2 million.
The back taxes were paid off, and last week, the Trump-appointed U.S. Attorney in Delaware, David Weiss, reached an agreement with Hunter Biden.
Oh, sure
the president's son would admit to a firearm charge and plead guilty for his failure to pay taxes. If a judge signs off, the deal means no jail time.
There you go.
Testimony we have just released details a lack of U.S. attorney independence.
And Shapley told lawmakers that U.S. Attorney Weiss was blocked from bringing stronger charges. But U.S. Attorney General Merrick Garland said last week that Weiss was not.
I'm saying he was given complete authority to make all decisions on his own.
I documented exactly what happened, and it doesn't seem to match what the Attorney General or the U.S. Attorney are saying today.
Shapley provided lawmakers this contemporaneous email he wrote after an October meeting last year. Shapley says Weiss told him the opposite, that Weiss is not the deciding person on whether charges are filed.
It was just shocking to me.
Shapley, who is still working for the IRS, told us that even before President Biden took office, he was directed to avoid leads involving Hunter's father.
What?
There were certain investigative steps that we weren't allowed to take that could have led us to President Biden.
And you wanted to take them?
We needed to take them.
And you weren't allowed to take them?
That's correct.
We're allowed.
It is important to point out that at that point in Shapley's investigation, Donald Trump was still president, and his Attorney General, William Barr, had rules in place that may have limited what Shapley could pursue. The U.S. Attorney's Office in Delaware had no comment. As for Hunter Biden, his attorneys did not respond to us, but he said before in a statement that he is taking responsibility for mistakes he made during a period of turmoil in his life.
There you go. Damn it, Trump. I blame Trump. It's Trump for everything. What's a sex club? What's the fees on that?
I don't know. I felt like that was something that ended in like the 50s, but apparently they're still alive and kicking.
I know there are swingers clubs out there. What's a sex club?
And isn't a sex
club?
club?
Are there any in Dallas?
Isn't that just a brothel? What's the difference between a sex club and a brothel? Like the quality?
That's what I'm getting to. Yeah. I mean, is that like a whorehouse?
I would assume like a high class one.
Yeah.
Like a Heidi Fleiss type whorehouse.
I mean, I guess. I mean, how does that show up on your bank statement?
I don't know, but that's actually my favorite part of the story, and the only reason why I kind of think, like, let's just let Hunter Biden free, because writing off hookers on your taxes is objectively hilarious.
Well, I said it on Twitter earlier this week. I said, dude, you got to admit, the guy hates the IRS, and he knows how to party.
Oh,
I need to get a new CPA.
Yeah, he's such a sex addict. He tried to the IRS, too. It's the coolest thing he did.
Of course, all the Riris, they tried to say, oh, are you saying that you want to write off prostitutes? Yeah, if I can.
I'd like the option.
I mean, I'm willing to discuss it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah,
I'll hear them out.
Go over with an accountant or two, be like, hey.
I mean, I've done some shady stuff. My CPA comes to me with ideas. I'll hear him out.
I love the idea of prostitutes giving receipts.
That's like when Jerry Springer, God rest his soul, when Jerry Springer was the mayor of Cincinnati, he wrote a check to a hooker.
Yeah.
What could happen? And it happened. I mean, guess what? You got a paper trail with a whore.
Yeah.
I don't want paper trails with my ex-wives. Apparently I have those too. Oh, boy, there's so many jokes that have happened there. Chill out, everybody. I'm not joining the sex club. I'm just reading the sticker on the window. Okay? All right? I'm high tea these days. You stand still or walk slow. I'll catch up with you. Hey. All right, guys. Since the early days at Blaze TV, we've been fortunate to work with the team over at Relief Factor. I've fallen in love with the product. They brought this unknown anti-inflammatory to the marketplace that they tested in Seattle, which is their hometown, and they showed that it had a remarkable ability to reduce pain in many different types of chronic ailments. So Relief Factor, it's an all-natural alternative to pain medications that I trust to keep me pain-free, and inflammation is not only the chief cause of pain, but it's also a factor in many other diseases. And I feel better that Relief Factor is always working to keep my inflammation markers in check. So hundreds of thousands of people have ordered Relief Factor. 70% of those people usually reorder it because it works. And you can get a trial pack for only $19.95 to see if it works for you to reduce your pain. In fact, that reminds me, I got to send some to my mom. She keeps asking for it. And I'm like, hey, I'll send you some, Mom. If you go to relieffactor.com to order, or you can call them 800-4-RELIEF, you get somebody on the phone and tell them you want relief. So check them out, relieffactor.com. Relief Factor, feel the difference. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back. Crazy stuff. Hey, this week's Overtime, join me and my special guest, Jason Buttrell, Chief Researcher for Glenn Beck, Blaze TV. I don't know why we say Blaze TV, because he doesn't do any research for me or anybody but Glenn. So Glenn's chief researcher. I always love talking to Jason. But anyway, he knows more stuff. And let me get this off my chest. I was reading an email that came to me during the break. I have got a couple of shows coming up after the 4th of July. On the 7th of July, I'm going to be in Tomball, Texas, at Main Street Crossing. And then on the 8th, I'm going to be in Fredericksburg at the Rock Box Theater. Now, let me tell you, I got an email from a venue. My agent got an email because he saw an advertisement for my show. And some shows I bring my guys with me. I'll bring ragamuffins with me. I'll bring whatever, and it's a fun show. We still do comedy. We do a little music. We do some comedy music. It's all kind of different things. No one's ever not enjoyed the show. If you did, then there's a problem with you, okay, because we have fun. But the email said, we booked Chad to come do his stand-up thing, but we ran across this advertisement. Kiss my ass. You do not tell me what I do on stage. Ever, ever, ever. Ed, please. I told my agent, I said, do you want me to respond to their email? Because they don't want that. I promise you. They don't want me to respond. I am nobody's dancing chicken. So let me just say, if you book me to come to your venue, you don't get, or you going to tell me what jokes to tell too? You going to do that? Kiss my ass. That's the way that goes. So I just want to get that off my chest. I just felt the need for a little therapy right there. It's amazing to me how people just really have a weird sense of self-importance. Anyway, let's go. Speaking of people with a weird sense of self-importance, the cackling hyenas of The View had this to say about Donald Trump. Play clip number 4.
What's the why? And you never have to prove the why to prove this case. You don't have to prove intent. But juries are going to want to know, why did he do it?
He's a grifter. He's a grifter.
I mean, short of this judge fundamentally screwing up the case, I don't see how he gets less than 5 to 10 years. He literally in this
Lock
one
him up
clip
already. Lock him up.
He knows the
Lock him up.
He admits he knows the information's classified.
Yeah.
He discusses the contents of classified information with people without security clearances, and then acknowledges he can't declassify since he's not president. That's the whole case.
It's a cut and dried case. He has no defense, which is why I said a couple of weeks ago, he is ripe for a plea. And I think I asked you this a couple of weeks ago. Is he someone who would take a plea, but that plea would have to include jail time?
There you go. The judge and jury of The View right there. And again, if you want to listen to people like that, again, throw due process out. Throw due process out. Listen, we all want justice. We want justice for anybody that's broken the law. We also want mercy when mercy is, relevant to a situation. If Donald Trump broke the law, the problem that we all have at this stage in the game is you guys have been after this guy forever. Tell me, and you can't, but you can't tell me that every president out there hasn't had a conversation with someone where he discussed some classified information. They've all done it. I'm going to guarantee you. And again, doesn't excuse the fact, but again, you guys have a two-tier justice system. Y'all have been after Donald Trump for so long. Please, God, put him in an orange jumpsuit and give him a perp walk. Let's make sure that everybody sees it in the world. And that's the only thing, because here's the deal. You guys have got Trump derangement syndrome so bad at this point that even if Donald Trump was in solitary confinement in a maximum security prison, y'all still would be talking about the guy. You'd still make him a topic of your conversation. You would not be able to shut up about it. The people on Twitter would still blame everything on Donald Trump, a guy who was president for 4 years. You would still blame everything, all society's ills, on Donald Trump. You can't get away from it. The guy wrecked your brain. He totally destroyed the last little bit of firing synapse you had between your brain cells. That's it. It's done. They can't leave him alone. But as bad as Trump is in their mind, I said this months ago, they're going to start with the rhetoric. They're going to say, Ron DeSantis is worse. I said it months ago. I said there's 2 words. There's 2 words they're going to start adding to all of their stuff. They're going to say, he's worse. And I was right. Play clip number 6.
What does it say about the Republican Party that the next guy down is Ron DeSantis, who is running the most openly fascist campaign I think I've ever seen? And I'm saying that having covered Donald Trump running for president. That's the next guy down.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose if you're inside the DeSantis war room, you've got to think of a way to get yourself indicted to get up ahead of Donald Trump. This just goes to my point that this is what the party wants to be. And it's a hard thing for a lot of us who worked in the party to accept that we helped create this model. But we did. And this is very purposeful by the party. It's not something they stumbled into. Their second choice is a guy who is worse than Trump.
There it is.
It's a threat to what it means really to be an American. And I think we have to realize that and address it accordingly.
She said that's the most fascist campaign she's ever seen. And she covered Donald Trump. Now, I would love to hear her definition of fascism. And I would love to see what her examples of fascism that are a part of this campaign. And this talking head wants to say they have lost the idea of what it means to be an American. Please educate me on that. Please tell me what is so fascist about these campaigns that we have lost touch with what it means to be an American. I want to hear your definition not only of fascism, I want to hear your definition of what it means to be an American. Because I'm sorry, the idea that you can redefine everything in order to fit your political narrative. So you want to have an abortion, you call that women's health care. You want to mutilate children, you want to call that trans health care. You want to call it gender affirming care. You change the language to make this stuff fit so everybody feels good and happy and sassy about the whole damn thing. But at the end of the day, it still is what it is, no matter how much you change the language. And when we call it what it is, you're going to tell us that we are fascists. Because we say, hey, you know what? You shouldn't cut the dick off a kid. You shouldn't cut the genitals off a kid. You shouldn't do that. Like, that's dangerous. That's going to have long-term, long life repercussions that the kid's never going to get over. And maybe you ought to let that child wait till they're an adult and they've got to develop prefrontal cortex so they can make a rational decision. Because believe it or not, when I was 18, 19, 20, 21 years old, I thought I knew everything. But believe it or not, I really didn't know a damn thing. But I would argue with you about it. So when we say, hey, let's let that kid grow up and make that decision, rather than you, doing, some parent with Munchausen syndrome by proxy, where you're playing off some oppression on top of a kid and playing your symptoms through them, and wanting to appear like woke so you can pat yourself on the back by the DEI culture that we've embraced somehow in America. And I call those things out and say you guys are bad parents for wanting to do stuff like that, and I'm a fascist. I want to have legislation in a place where a guy can't dress up like a woman and go in there and provocatively swing his genitals in front of a child's face at something, that they call a Christmas party. And I want to pass legislation that says you can't do that. It's illegal to put that in front of a child, and you're going to say, oh, this is a fascist idea. Well, I got choice words for you on that one, and you can all the way off, because I don't think that has anything to do with what it means to truly be an American. I want to be left alone. I want to govern my own life. I want to make sure that I'm protected, my family's protected, my children can grow up in a safe environment, and they can have a future to be proud of and live a long, fruitful life. That's what I want. I want freedom. I want liberty. I want people to do whatever they want to do in the confines of their own home, as long as it doesn't affect anybody else. I want you to be free as an adult to make the decisions that affect your life, as long as it doesn't affect anybody else. I'm just saying that's what I want. Now, if that makes me a fascist, I literally want to be left alone. And you guys keep pushing. You guys keep poking. And you guys keep prodding the bear. And the bear has let you go on for so long because, again, some of this libertarian ideology that I'm saying right now has gotten us into this bullshit. Because what happens is, we said, hey, you do what you want to do as long as it doesn't affect anybody else. But you took it one step further, and now you're doing stuff, you're making decisions that actually are affecting other people, and we're calling you out. And somehow we're fascists. So I'm sorry, I'm not bowing down to the talking head progressive rerees that say this is the most fascist campaign ever. But I told you what they were going to say. I told you they were going to say that Ron DeSantis is worse. That is going to become the rhetoric. They had to turn him into the ultimate fascist. And he's a little effeminate, quite honestly.
He is. Also, Joy Reid looks like an autistic version of Mary J. Blige.
Down, go, Jay. No, that's the wrong song. I try to say goodbye and I choke. Try to say all right.
Just something off about her face. She's just uncanny valley about it.
It's not balanced.
Yeah.
I want to say fascist, but I choke. Donald Trump and Ron DeSantis. All right, guys, what happens if all of a sudden a global medication supply chain of antibiotics just disappeared right before your eyes? It could happen. Most of our medicine in this country is manufactured in other places like India and China, and guess what? They're going to take care of their own needs first if something bad happens. So what do you do when all of a sudden you or someone you love needs antibiotics? Well, there's just simply none to be had. You go to the pharmacy, empty shelves. Well, you should have a supply on hand in case of a disaster. And Jace's case from Jace Medical is actually the greatest way for you to stay prepared in this worst case scenario. So they pack a deal of 5 different courses of antibiotics that you can use to treat a long list of bacterial illnesses, respiratory infections, sinusitis, skin infections, a whole lot more. Great way to be ready for shortages, and it's perfect for traveling. Listen, don't get caught unprepared. I want you to go to jacemedical.com, enter the code CHAD, I spell it Chad at checkout, promo code CHAD at JASEmedical.com. We'll be right back. Let's see this text. Anyway, I love making fun of stupid things, right? Everybody knows that about me. And some people come at me on social media and they say, oh, who are we against today? We're not against anybody. Unless you're, we're here, we're queer, we're coming for your children kind of nonsense. But, the NBC News actually defended, shocker, the LGBT activists, quote, threat when they said, we're coming for your children. NBC reassured us all that it is, that's been used for years at Pride events. I mean, that's not new. They've been coming for your children forever. It's been going on for generations, guys. Come on. We're here. We're queer. Coming for your kids. There's this organizer of the NYC Drag March, Brian Griffin. I want to say that in a Family Guy voice. Brian Griffin said if that's the worst they heard, it's only because he wasn't there this year. So he said, Griffin said he chanted obscene things in the past, like kill, kill, kill. We're coming to kill the mayor. And joked about pubic hair and sex toys during marches. People at the drag march regularly sing God is a lesbian. Said they claim that the coverage of abusive treatment of young people, stress that the Coming for Your Children chant has been used for years at Pride events, according to the long-term march attendees and gay rights activists. Oh, trust me, we know. That's the point. Now we're calling your shit out. So we know that you've been doing it. And we know that you're very stupid for doing it. And so we're calling you out. It's like we let you get away. This was the point I was making in the last segment. We let you go so far. We let you get away with this stuff, and now we're gonna push back and be like, okay, that's enough. Like sometimes you let the toddlers do some dumb shit, and then after a while it's like, okay, that's enough. Quit squirting me with the water gun. Okay, that's fun. Don't squirt me again with the water gun. I'm telling you, kid, don't squirt me with the water gun. Listen to me, kid. I will stick that water gun up your ass. Don't squirt me again with a water gun. I mean, after a while, that's all we're saying is we're like, hey, listen, enough mouth ejaculation from you, okay? We've heard you say your dumb shit. We know. And now it's time to reel it in a little bit. But last year's march, the transvestites reportedly chanted, 10% is not enough, groom, groom, groom. Okay. Well, if your argument there is to double down and say, well, we do it every year, it's a bad argument, quite honestly. It's not a good one. And somebody needs to check their hard drive, quite honestly. I mean, you might want to dig into that some.
Just the sheer audacity, be like, what are you guys mad about? We've been doing this the whole time. Here's more examples of us doing exactly. Stop freaking out. Yeah, we said it, but we always say that.
Yeah.
Like who thought that was the good way to handle this?
Yeah. You think we're coming after children now? No, we've always been doing that. Yeah. I mean, again, the whole thing was we're not coming for your children. Now they're doubling down saying, we've said that shit for years.
We've always been coming for your children.
I mean, what's new?
Yeah.
What's new? Oil them up. We'll pick them up at the house. Like at this stage in the game, you don't even need a windowless white panel van with it's got candy painted on the side. The NBC is literally defending them. NBC is shoving the kids in the van for them and being like, you know what? We'll lube them up for you. Toss them in. Doop, there they go. They're slippery. Hold on to them tight. Ow. We know how to handle kids. We've been doing this for years. Jeez, man.
There were a lot of people who commented on the video with like the naked dudes on the bike, and they're like, "What are you guys freaking out? Like they'll see it anyways."
Yeah, you know? I mean Brian Krasenstein, Ed Krasenstein, those guys, whatever.
Yeah,
they're like, "Oh, you've seen naked guys. I've seen worse on the internet."
Yeah,
check his hard drive too.
Oh yeah, they've just given up. Like, nah, it's always happening. It's like, okay, well that kind of further justifies our problem with it, not yours.
Absolutely done. And I won't ask you to play it, but in the gayest shit you've ever seen, Bud Light's offering a promotion for 4th of July holiday where you can get free beer. They're doing the thing again where you can get a $15 rebate for a 15-pack of Bud Light. And so $15 Bud Light with a $15 rebate is what you're getting. And so they're literally going to pay you to take their product. And no. I'm thinking not. Nobody wants you piss swill. Nobody's forgetting. It's the gayest shit you've ever seen. 28% decline in Bud Light sales. Budweiser dropped 12.3%. Busch Light dropped 8.1%. Michelob Ultra dropped 4% for the week ending June 17. Modelo continued to climb. Can't drink it. Hurts my gout. Miller Lite, Coors Light, Yuengling all climbing. So don't forget, they, as of yesterday, the marketing executives in charge of the Dylan Mulvaney campaign are no longer with Anheuser-Busch. And Anheuser-Busch refuses to comment on that, but it's fact. It's done. You heard it here. All right, guys. You've heard me talk about my guys over in Abilene, Texas, my buddy Chad Myers with JM4 Tacticals. I was talking to somebody at an event last night, and we started talking about holsters because we talk about stuff like that. We talk about guns, talk about holsters, and a good buddy of mine, he does some he's done security for me in the past, and just we're just talking about accessories. And I said, dude, you got to try JM4 Tactical. You got to try their holsters. They have that patented magnetic technology. It is the only magnetic retention holster on the market, and especially one that absolutely works. This thing is made out of the Herman Oak full grain steer hide, so it's beautiful, it's soft, it works, it's comfortable. You can put it in any waistband or belt you got, even if you're wearing sweatpants or gym shorts or something like that. Because of the magnetic retention, it not only holds on to your waistline or wherever you choose to put it, but it also holds on to the firearm, which makes, storing your gun in your holster even safer. So I have a ton of these things. In fact, every firearm that I have, every pistol that I have has a JM4 Tactical holster to go with it. I've got several in my truck right now, trust me. And you can put these things anywhere. It's really, really cool. So I want you to go check them out. Use promo code CHAD, and they'll give you a discount over at JM4 Tactical.com. Use promo code CHAD at JM4 Tactical.com, and we'll be right back. Yeah, all of the troubles that I have, I don't ever have trouble with venue owners. It's no big deal. But all that aside, we're about to have some good shows in July. I'm not having a lot of shows in July because I'm going on vacation mid-July. So, prep for that. I know y'all all have to prep for my vacation. But on the 7th of July, I will be in Tomball, and on the 8th of July, we'll be in Fredericksburg chilling out. Probably drink a little wine in Fredericksburg over at the wineries a little bit. It's pretty cool. But I will tell you, the Tomball show, if you're planning on coming, as of Monday, there are only 20 tickets left, so go get them. And then that Rockbox Theater, which is a cool spot. That's a really cool little theater right in there. There's no bad seat in the place, I'll tell you that, but there's a couple rows in the back. You want to go get those. Those things, both of those shows will sell out. So last night we were, Sarah Gonzalez and I went and spoke to the Jewish conservatives of Dallas, and we were walking into the theater where they were hosting this event. And I hear somebody calling my name from the parking lot, and I turn around and I look, and I was thinking it was somebody coming to the event, and just knew who I was. And it was Missy Robertson from Duck Dynasty, her and her daughter Mia. And I was like, what? I mean, it was like surreal. I was like, what are y'all doing here? I was like, are you coming to this? And she's like, yeah, no, but they were actually going to the movies. So randomly, they were in town for some medical stuff with Mia, God bless her. And it was fun to run into her. It's been a minute since I've seen them, and so that was a weird little surprise. Weird, but anyway, God bless the Robertson family. Hey guys, don't forget, subscribe, blazetv.com/Chad. Use promo code Chad. We'll see you tomorrow night. We love you. God bless you. Bye.